Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Brian Livingston. I'm the Executive Director of the Arizona Police Association. The association is comprised of 22 independent police correction detention Border Patrol associations. We are opposed to the bill as it's written. But, Mr. Chairman, I will echo the statements made by those who came before me, which will limit my testimony, which I'm sure you're glad to know, that indeed we appreciate the process. At least you talked to us. At least you addressed our concerns and you put forth a bill that you believe is probably the best product at this time. And I say at this time because I think it's still indeed a work in progress. I'm not going to go over the Arizona Constitution, the U.S. constitutional provisions, because the judge's representative did a very good job of doing that. But there is a part of this bill that's missing, and that's oversight. As you know, in the late 1990s, our fund lost $1.6 billion because of bad investment strategies, and maybe for other reasons that we're just not aware of and can't find documents for. We would not be having this conversation if we would not have lost that $1.6 billion. We do have a board in place. We have an accounts administrator in place, and I can tell you that board and administrator are doing a fabulous job now. But unfortunately, it took to 2006 for that to start to occur. We have been vilified. The unions and associations have been truly vilified by the press and by some politicians who have taken advantage of the press coverage to tell everyone that we are greedy and we don't deserve the pensions we have because it's not available in the public sector. But I can tell you, in the 1990s, that wasn't true. In the 1980s, that wasn't true, because the matching 401k systems that were available in private industry made our system look quite less than what it appears to be now. So we ask, and I ask you directly, for an oversight provision which says the JLBC, the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, and the Governor will be fully aware of the gains and losses of that system. Not just an overview report, but exactly where the investments were done, how they were done, and the return on those investments. Because if we had the proper oversight, we would not have lost the $1.6 billion we had, or it would have been mitigated in years where we would have lost significantly less. That's extremely important that we move forward from this point with that provision. In addressing the provision itself, there's only two things I'll bring forward. I know they've already been stated, but I believe emphasis is needed. The employee contribution rate in the limited time period that's designated in the bill is too short and too much. This bill is weighted heavily for employers because they can't absorb the 20 to 40% increase, depending on where you live, that they're going to have to pay for employer contributions. There seem to be little look at what's going to happen to those employees who are now going to have to pay the increased cost for their retirement system. And that concerns me. There are avenues for employers to reduce their contribution. User fees. Police take a lot of actions, so do correction officers, so do fire officials. We do a lot of things for the benefit of the public that are not required as part of an emergency service. We have been doing those for free or for the benefit of a private entity, namely some insurance companies. We should be applying a fee to those benefits that they are receiving and designating those charges for the reduction of the city's contribution to the pension system. Secondly, going back again to the oversight, we should have been looking at the Arizona emissions policies of those people who provided information to our retirement investors and looking to see if we can recapture some of that revenue. I truly believe that a full investigation of PSPRS is warranted for those losses. It would have been done if we had proper oversight when these losses occurred. Secondly, there's one final bit of information I want to give you, and I just received it. This year, in 2011, 43 law enforcement officers lost their lives in the line of duty. In Iraq, we lost 37. We are the 6th Armed Forces of the United States. We respond first, before the National Guard is deployed, before military forces are deployed. We are asked to go into harm's way, and we are paying a heavy, heavy price for that commitment. For those who were there before me, and I am one of the retirees, I was shot in the line of duty. My career was ended with a shotgun blast to the face. To now go to them and say your sacrifice, and believe me, there are sacrifices when you hit 20 years of service, and for people like me who don't even make it that far, to say that we're now going to eliminate your ability to take care of yourself in your older years, sorry, I find that despicable. We wouldn't do it to a U.S. soldier. We would even contemplate doing it to a U.S. soldier, but you're talking about doing it to us. I am not a rich man. When I retired, my retirement was $27,000 a year. Try living on that today, and that was 10 years ago. Try living on it. Try raising 2 kids and a family with it. And I think he would say, I can't. I was lucky. I was able to rehab enough where I can do some things, nowhere near what I could do before. And I'm a lucky one. Many of my brothers and sisters are hurt much worse than I am, and were not able to rehab. And I'm not doing this to cry tears or to tear clothing. It's a reality of what policemen and firemen and correction officers live with every day. Many of my people now are infected with MRSA, an infectious disease that eats away the skin. But we seem to overlook that when we're talking about money. I'm sorry. To bring people in the door, as my predecessor speakers have said before, we're going to have to address that issue. We're going to have to address these other issues and say, come and do what we did. Be you willing to shatter your lives and your family's life for a commitment to safeguard this community? And these provisions don't help. So let me be specific. One more thing, and I promise I'm done. I ask you to relook at that market value assumption. I think that is terrible. An actuarial value makes more sense. It's what we've used. The retirees deserve what they've earned. We don't want litigation. I can't be more specific than that. We must move forward in a way to avoid it. And there are elements in this bill that will lead toward it. So I ask you, please, look at it again and try to amend those provisions to avoid that litigation process. Your employees deserve that much. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it.